Ding.
So, and there's no minimum requirement for that. Most times without losing.
Yeah, so
most times without
in
losing.
theory, it could be someone who played once, and no one else played once, and then had a 100% record. But let's face it, that's not the answer.
That's not likely, is it? No, it's not likely.
This player actually played double figures of games and won every single one that he played in. Whether he played the 80 minutes in all of those games is probably another question. But he played in double figures of games and won every one of them.
Won every game he played in. It's ringing a little bell because I do think you mentioned it something like on this last week.
Tell you what, I'll give you a clue. It's a Saints player.
James Roby.
No. No, come on. He played way too many games to have not lost any.
Yeah, to have not lost any.
I mean, he played at Wigan the other week when you lost.
He did. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. You're quite right.
It's Will Hopewati.
Oh, Will Hopewati. Is that so? He holds the record for the league
this year. Yeah.
Wow.
11 games he played. Saints didn't lose any of the 11 games that he hobbled himself out onto the pitch for. He only scored one try.
I know, he's injured again,
Yeah. He was injured for the game. He wasn't fit. For about the first 20 minutes, he sort of flirted with attacking from fullback and then gave up on that by the second half completely.
Yeah.
He was a passenger.
Yeah, he was. I'm afraid.
Ilias Bergel, out of interest, he played the most games without winning a game. 8 games he played for Toulouse and didn't win any of them.
Oh,
so poor old Ilias Bergel. A player I rate, I think is... Anyway, third question. This one's more difficult.
Uh-oh. I've not done well so far, so I'm already 0 for 2.
Which player made the most tackles without missing any tackles, according to the stats this year? And what I will tell you is he never played for his parent club this year. He only played 2 games on loan.
God. I'm no Mark. I mean, honestly, we could be all day. Just tell me who it is.
It's Ellis Robson.
I've never even heard of him.
He made 42 tackles without missing one in the 2 games he played on loan at Toulouse earlier this season, on loan from Warrington.
Okay. Well, I didn't even know his name, so I was definitely not getting that.
I don't think he's going to be playing Super League next year, so yeah.
I won't trouble myself learning more about him then.
Of the more active players this year, of the players who played more regularly, the player with the best tackle success rate was actually Morgan Smithies. His tackle success rate was 97.64%. He made 663 tackles and only missed 16. So,
how many of those were below the shoulder?
I would imagine a significantly high percentage, David, considering he only got 1 ban. Whereas all your back row got multiple games.
That's only because the RFL love you, Mark. You know that.
Ha. Do you want to hear a few other numbers that you might not hear elsewhere?
Yes, go on, sir.
So a few weird, quirky bits that I've spotted from the stats. Tom Davies, the Catalans winger.
Yes.
He played 21 games this year and didn't give away a single penalty. So he played the most games without conceding a penalty. On the flip side of that, James Bentley was the most penalised player, 28 penalties he conceded, 1.33 penalties per game, which was the worst per game record as well of anyone that played at least 3 games this year.
No surprise there.
No, not at all. And that's why it wasn't anyone's shock that he gave away the first penalty in the grand final either. Michael Lawrence, the Huddersfield stalwart.
Yeah.
He played the most games without making a single handling error, being credited anyway with a single handling error. He played 11 times and no errors.
Wow.
It was Joe Burgess who made the most errors with 38. That was 1.9 per game for Joe Burgess, which was the worst of any player that played more than once this year in terms of average per game. So although he was a threat and did have. I think he was top 5 for breaks and high up in the try scoring charts.
One of the things that always gives you pause about these sorts of stats, though, is the type of rugby that the team play. And Salford play this high risk, high reward type rugby, which means, you do get, Burgess is going to make breaks, but he's also going to get some pretty difficult balls to try and deal with. And therefore, it's not surprising, I suppose, that he makes a few more errors as well.
That's it. You'd expect most wingers to make the odd handling error, defending their own line, going up for contested kicks and that sort of thing. And that's part of the game. And so Joe Burgess will have a number of those within this. But one thing Joe Burgess does is he really chases kicks in attacking positions, and that leads to quite a few knock-ons. Bevan French at Wigan had a load of knock-ons this year from chasing kicks.
Doing that.
And like you say, he'll have had some difficult balls to take as well with the types of offloads that he was getting.
Having to deal with.
Jason Gary. You like Jason Gary, so I thought I'd give you a Jason Gary.
As I like to call him.
Yeah. He averaged 10.7 metres per carry.
Wow.
Which is the highest for any player who had more than 10 carries in Super League this year. He had 55 carries, so arguably maybe should have played a bit more with figures like that. And then finishing things off, I looked at clean breaks. Because I thought I'd look at the numbers that we don't necessarily talk about as much.
Every week,
Yeah. Like everyone knows who's top try scorer, top meter maker, that sort of thing. But clean breaks. Abbas Miski had the most clean breaks per game average of any regular player in Super League this year. Any player who played more than a couple of games, which is good. The actual most breaks overall was Jay Field and Tommy Makinson. They both had 30 each, though. But yeah, that it might surprise some Wigan fans that Miski got himself into the open so much. Justin Sangare and Tinarawa Rona, they played 23 games without being credited with a single clean break this year, though. So not quite so good for those two front rowers as it is for these outside backs.
No surprise there either.
No, but that's what I've got for you on the stats.
Hey, those are really interesting, Mark. Thank you.
And finally, do you want to take us through the and finally news story? Because there is one to talk about.
I will. I like the way they're doing this now and building it up. It's good. So Andy Farrell, Adrian Morley, Clive Sullivan and David Watkins will be inducted into the Men's Rugby League Hall of Fame next month. The four will join the 28 current members of Rugby League's most exclusive club at an induction ceremony in Wigan on Thursday, October the 27th. The inductions will take place at a celebratory dinner at the Edge Arena in Wigan on the 27th. I
had to Google that place. I'd never heard of it.
No, neither I. And the same event, the first members will be inducted into the newly established Women's Rugby League Hall of Fame. The former Great Britain internationals, Benda Dobek, Lisa McIntosh and Sally Milburn will be inducted.
Yeah, I've not got much familiarity with those
women's
players, to be honest. But the men's players are players that we've all very much heard of. I was shocked that Sullivan and Watkins weren't already in there. I assumed they would be.
I'm surprised by that. I'm surprised by that. But there you go. Anyway,
they've changed the eligibility now. Now it used to have to be 10 years after your playing career. They've reduced it to 5 years, but that hasn't affected any of these inductions, has it? Because I think that's just maybe so that they can induct Kevin Sinfield sooner, whilst there's still all the talk about him with the absolutely insane stuff that he's doing to raise money for the MND Association.
Yeah, what a wonderful job he's doing with that.
Yeah, he's now looking to raise £777,707 for doing 7 ultra marathons in 7 days, because 7 marathons in 7 days is not enough for this man.
No.
But so expect him to be inducted. Oh, actually, he's already at 5 years, isn't he? So next time they do it, let's expect maybe him to be in. But Farrell and Morley are players that we've got to had the chance to enjoy in more recent times. Farrell, one of my first heroes when I started supporting rugby league, when I started following rugby league. He was, a player I was well aware of as the Wigan captain then, but two-time Man of Steel winner, won the Man of Steel in 2 different positions as well. And then Adrian Morley, arguably the best British forward of the last 20 years. Certainly the person who had the biggest lasting impact as a player in Australia. You've got Sam Burgess and James Graham in that conversation, but Morley, he set the platform, didn't he, for players to go and have long careers in the NRL. It's for the first time in a long time.
I think he broke new ground. People like Graham and wouldn't have got the opportunity, I don't think, down under if Morley hadn't already been there and shown that he could mix it with the big boys down there.
Absolutely. So 4 definitely worthy inductees there. Sullivan has an absolutely incredible story as well as record on both sides of the city of Hull, and Watkins for Salford was a huge part of their side in the 70s, wasn't it, when they were
when they were the best team in the league at one point, weren't they? 1970, 71.
Yeah, and they were an entertaining side, and they had they were kind of like the glamour side as well in a little bit, weren't they? With the Willows nightclub and all of that, but or the Willows Social Club. But yeah, 4 worthy inductees for sure, and everyone, is very celebrated players. What have you got for us? Any recommendations?
No, nothing from me this week. Mark.
Nothing from Anglesey.
No, well, I think the last time I was in Anglesey, I recommended everyone to go to the beach at Newborough. That would still be my recommendation.
Fair enough. Me and Emma have been stuck in quite a bit recently, and we watched the new Daisy May Cooper series on BBC. Am I Being Unreasonable?
All right.
It's not as consistently funny as This Country is, because it's a different style of thing rather than a spoof. It's there's elements of drama to it. It is still very funny, but boy, it's a unnerving ride as well at times. It's it's 6 episodes, 6 half-an-hour episodes, so it's a fairly quick watch. I'd definitely say it's enjoyable, but a little bit unnerving as well. If you're expecting something like This Country, it's not quite. It's not quite like that, but very good all the same. So we haven't really got much coming up now, have we? We've got the Super League Pod Awards show, which will be, like I say, in the week before the World Cup. So you've got just under 2 weeks to make your votes. By the time you're listening to this episode, by the time this episode released, so you've got just under 2 weeks to register your votes for the SLP Awards, the Sloppies, the 9th annual Sloppies, and for the Super League Pod Dream Team as well. So please do get your votes in. And do you want to give one last shout out to our friends?
I certainly will. So Rob's Megastore, enter SLP10 on checkout to get 10% off your order. Little Warden, vital alerts for hidden issues. Head to littlewarden.com to see what they can do for you. And Sarah's Bookcase. Sarah sells Usborne books, and with access to over 3,000 titles from baby to young adults, there's something for everyone. Find out more on Facebook.
Yep. I suppose congratulations again.
Thank you, Mark.
On winning
We're looking
4
forward
in a row.
to what is 5 in a row? What is that? So you've got quadrupeats or 4-peats, and then what's 5?
I think just like genuinely the most disgusting thing possible. It's the human centipede of titles. It's just disgusting, David. Whatever it is. Yeah, well, but it's also the 5th. It's already 5 times out of 9 grand final wins that we've talked about on the show has been your fucking munch.
Long may it